Alrighty, Shalom, Shalom, giving all praise to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahawashi, Bahashem, Ruach HaKodesh. Double honors to the apostles, elders, and bishops of Great Millstone who do well. Peace and salutation to the Akim doing the work in truth and in sincerity across the four corners of the earth. This is your brother Amawan Ariella with the GMS Miami Heroes Camp. And Lord willing, through the spirit and power, Yahawashi, Yahawashi, this lesson will be edifying. And the topic of this lesson is really going to be in regards to being rooted, all right, in this truth, okay? And as you may already know, all right, the Heavenly Father has blessed us with the opportunity or the ability to understand His truth, all right? And a part of that is just really just enduring, you know, maintaining and holding fast to what you have, okay? And, you know, and not taking it for granted. So real quick, wanted to go into the book of Luke chapter 8 verse 4. All right, it says, and real quick, let me grab it now. BLB. Okay. Luke chapter 8. All right, starting at verse 4. It says, and when much people were gathered together and were come to him out of every city, he spake by a parable. A sower went out to sow his seed, and he sowed. And some fell by the wayside, and it was trodden down, and the fowls of the air devoured it. And some fell upon a rock. As soon as it sprung up, it withered away because it lacked moisture. And some fell among thorns, and the thorns sprang up with it and choked it. And other fell on good ground and sprang up and bare fruit 100-fold. And when he had said these things, he cried, he that hath ears to hear, let him hear. Right, so this is Yahawashi, okay, speaking in parables. All right, and there's a reason why Yahawashi spoke in parables. Okay, it's because he didn't want everyone to hear and understand and, you know, and be healed. Okay, so simply put, all right, he only had to select a few who he wanted to really understand his truth. Okay, and it's the book of Mark chapter 4, starting at verse 10. It says, and when he was alone, they that were about him with the 12 asked of him the parable. And he said unto them, unto you it is given to know the mystery of the kingdom of the Most High God, right? But unto them that are without, all these things are done in parables. Okay, so meaning if you're not a part of the elect, you're not going to understand His truth. Okay, which, you know, that ties back into the whole parable of the sower. And we're going to go into the breakdown of what he meant by that parable. Okay, so let's go back to the book of Luke chapter 8, and we'll start at verse 9. And it reads, it says, and his disciples asked him, saying, and what might this parable be? And he said, unto you it is given to know the mysteries of the kingdom of the Most High, but to others in parables, that seeing that they might not see, and hearing that they might not understand. Right, so the Lord has His selected few who He doesn't want to get this truth, man. Okay, this is why He spoke in code. So the ones who are meant to hear it, they heard it. Okay, and not just heard it, they were able to grasp it and bring back 100-fold, because you know you have a lot of people that hear this truth. All right, they adhere for a season, and then when temptation or hard time come, right, when the storm comes, all right, that belief, that understanding, that little faith that they had was wiped away, washed away. Okay, so continuing on, it says, now the parable is this: the seed is the word of the Most High God, right? So the truth, the seed is the truth that gets planted into you. Okay, and that truth either grows or it dies. Okay, it says, those by the wayside are they that hear. Then cometh the devil and taketh away the word out of their hearts, lest they should believe and be saved. they on the rock are they which, when they hear, receive the word of the Most High, or receive the word with joy, and these have no root, which for them believe, for a while believe, and in the time of temptation fall away. Right. So it took root for a season, but when the hard times came, you weren't rooted enough. Meaning you find out you were Israelite, okay, you know the names of the Heavenly Father, but you don't study. Right? You don't read the stories of what our ancestors went through to overcome. Right? Through your reading, you were supposed to increase in faith, but you didn't do that. Okay? And that's the ones, that where the seed fell on the rock, they received it with joy, but it didn't take root because you didn't go back and you didn't study, man. You didn't go back to learn, to read more. Verse 14 says, and that which fell among the thorns are they which, when they have heard, go forth and are choked with the cares and riches and pleasures of this life. That's simple. You care more about this world than you do the truth, right? Everlasting life, salvation and deliverance for the elect. All right, that sounds good to you, but that's not what you really, that's not your cup of tea. Okay? Choke with the cares of life, right? Your family. Yahawashi says, look, man, if you can't deny your family and, you can't be my disciple, man. Okay? You got to make sacrifices in this truth. I mean, I'm not saying get rid of your family, but, this truth comes before anything else, man. Okay? It says in verse 15, it says, but the good ground, all right? It says, but that on the good ground are they which in an honest and good heart, right? Your mind is a right with Yahawashi. All right? They're seeking the Lord in sincerity and in truth, which is honest and good, which in an honest and good heart, having heard the word, keep it and bring forth fruit with patience. All right, so even though we're in this thing, it's not an easy walk. We're gonna go through, right? But what we go through, it helps to build our faith, because why? We're reading, we're studying, right? We're looking at the stories, we're looking at what our ancestors went through, our forefathers went through, and how they were delivered, and we apply those things to our current situations, man. All right, that's what helps to build the faith. Not giving up, okay? Not going back into the world. All right, not how you say, not giving more care about what I got going on in my life, other than the truth, the brotherhood. All right, putting your life on the line, for to bring forth this truth, doing your sit downs. All right, to help edify the flock. These things are more important. They're more pertinent, especially now with the prophecies, popping off the page, and these things are happening that were spoken of before time. This is an exciting time to be in, and you want to be a part of it, and not be able to endure because of everything else that's going on around you. Okay, so it's very important to be rooted in this thing. And guess what? Who cares if nobody else believes? Well, you Hebrew Israelites, man. You talk about the world's going to end the world now. Well, okay, well that's fine. But for those of us who do study, who do have the spirit of Yahawashi, right? We understand that prophecy is popping off the page. And the incredulity, which is the unbelief of them who don't, concern themselves with what's going on, then that's on them. Okay, but as for us, as for our houses, my house, we're going to serve Yahawashi, and we're going to trust and believe in him. Because that's the only way we're going to receive salvation in these last days, man. All right? So with that, Lord willing, this was edifying. Stay rooted in this truth, man. Okay? Multiply your fruit. Study to show yourself approved. All right? These precepts were written aforetime for our learning. Okay? So with that, I want to give all praise, all honor, and glory unto Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahawashi, Bahashem, Racha HaKodash, Shalom.